Oh, that's fun. Right. Yeah. I guess Vassal's not awful because there's not a lot of terminals you're gonna want to be playing. I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Just to make it more likely to duplicate. So maybe in that case, Vassal's better. Also, because Magpie can set up your Vassal if it finds action. You don't want to play. So actually, yeah. So I do like the Vassal opening, but they both went for the. Yeah. So let's see. Elzorro also got a Taxman. I don't know. I mean, Taxman wasn't great. I guess. Yeah, that's true. If they don't have a Magpie yet. Um, yeah, right. So yeah, what are your long-term plans here? Just like buy some treasures and then buy some provinces, I guess. Like these five. Yeah. Also, uh, when you're when they're scoring, stonemason for island is an interesting thing. Like either buy stonemason for islands or like turn a gold into islands or whatever. I guess you could turn gold into duchies too, but like if you could buy stonemason overpaying for islands would be interesting. Because that's right, there is plus buy its fortune. Yeah, traveling fair. That's true. Fortune is going to be interesting here, and by interesting I mean probably not that great. I mean it's fortune. So. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't probably be the one to get a gladiator here, but since they both did, I mean they're on an even footing now. I would probably get a gladiator if my opponent did. Maybe, yeah, and it's just like, oh, Munster apparently spots a fun trick. I wonder what the fun trick is. Yeah, in general. Yeah, that would be my guess, I guess, because that is a fun trick. Like that actually makes Vassal significantly stronger. Although if that were true, they'd probably be buying a Vassal here without much hesitation. Maybe that's not. I mean, Vassal would go right by here anyway. Could be Stonemason Fortress, but like that's not that great. You just get two things. I mean, like if you got a Stonemason and a Fortress in hand, it's not that bad. But like, I wouldn't go out of my way to do that. Okay, we got Fortune uncovered. How long will it be before someone can actually afford it? Well, yeah, because they both opened Gladiator. So, so elzorro has 5. Let's see if they actually buy something that costs 5. I suppose you could make an argument for Harvest. Probably not a great one. I don't think there's any argument you could make for cash. Maybe if you have like all 10 magpies and like fantastic deck control, you buy cash then. Yeah, no, buying the fortress there is probably better. Or like stonemason for vassals, honestly, but yeah, stonemason for vassals isn't that great. I feel like Cardinal, yeah. This is about the time I think when Cardinal is going to be like not super powerful, but at least annoying. Yeah, I'm waiting for the trick too. I don't have no idea what it is. If it wasn't Magpie Vassal, then I don't know what it is. Um, Maybe it has something to do with like using Traveling Fair to set up some combo, but I don't even know what combo you'd be setting up. Or maybe it's just Stonemason Fortress, which is like, as far as Fortress combos go, that's like an awful one. Yeah, I guess the Cardinal's not too great here because everything important costs like 3 and 4. So if it gets exiled, oh well. You just buy one back. Like there's nothing that it hurt. Like the main like hard hitting aspect of Cardinal is when you can exile like fives usually.
Okay,
And
I'm not sure exactly what happened here. It was a
oh
weird coincidence.
oh
Um,
I think Nerdbound has it.
you can hear me
Uh
now, right?
yeah, I can hear you. Um,
I had asked like, "Hey, you can hear me, right?" And I guess it just coincidentally lined up with something else you were saying naturally because you were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, perfect." And so I kept talking, and you were talking at the same time, and I was just like, "What's going on?" And it took me like a full minute to figure out that I was actually muted.
okay. Note to self: when someone
Yeah.
asks me, "Can you hear me?" I will always respond, "Yes, I can hear you."
It's a bizarre coincidence. You happen to respond yes at exactly the time. Okay. So I've just been talking into thin air for the last minute or so. As I was just saying to myself, yeah, I don't think Cardinal's amazing here, partly because it's a terminal silver, and so adding a Cardinal, you have to add like a Cardinal and a Fortress for it to really be particularly worth it, and that's
And
just kind of a lot. Plus Magpie can't draw it.
yeah, um, what I was saying when we figured that out is that I think Nerdbound is right about the trick. Stonemason Fortune into 2 provinces.
That's fair. That's a tricky little interaction there. Granted, if you have Fortune, playing it can probably get you 2 provinces as well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess the idea is you might be able to Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you could get 2 provinces of playing fortune, you can get 3 by stonemasoning it.
Yeah. All right. I'll be interested to see if that interaction occurs.
Definitely something to keep. Well, stonemason gains 2 cards costing less than the one that you trashed. So since province is 8 and fortune is 8 plus 8 debt, the debt is kind of extra, and so fortune costs province costs less than fortune. Um,
Yeah.
it's confusing how the debt and the other costs interact, but yes,
Yeah.
because like the
So
province is like kind of is strictly less than what the fortune is. So
yeah,
yes, you
strictly speaking, every card has 3 costs. It has a cost in terms of coins, a cost in terms of debt, and a cost in terms of potions. And a card costs less than another card if it costs less by any one of those metrics, and then not more by any of the other metrics. So, for example, um, Taxman costs 4 coins, no potions and no debt. Cash costs 5 coins, no potions and no debt. So it costs less by one metric and equal on the other 2. Conversely, a card costs more if it costs more by at least one metric and then equal or less than the other 2. And then you also get these situations where a card can cost like neither more nor less than another card, like comparing the cost of province to the cost of royal blacksmith. One costs more in coins, one costs more in debt, so they're just incomparable. And so you couldn't like stonemason one or the other either way.
I wonder what elzorro is going to do here. Do you take the fortune? I feel like you do.
Yeah, with 8 provinces left, I think the fortune will pay for itself. I think part of the value of fortune is like in that end game situation where you're threatening to like double province or more whenever your fortune does eventually come up. And so I'd like to have it around for those purposes. Piles are a little low. How much would it cost to empty piles here? Probably more than their decks can do. 4 for Fortress, plus 8 for Stonemasons, plus 4 more for 2 plus buy from Traveling Fair.
Yeah, it could be doable with a. Oh no.
You have to hit like 14 to empty the piles, I think, which is
Oh,
probably
I
unrealistic.
think. Yeah, no. You. They totally should have played Taxman as the sheep, though. I didn't even remember that you could do that.
Yeah, Taxman is cheap for 10 coins, and then buy the fortune, pay off 2
I always
debt.
don't play the Taxman. I forgot about sheep. Um.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
fair.
That's definitely.
Even if you ignored the sheep, you could still have gotten fortune by just neglecting to play the Taxman at all.
That's what I was visually thinking of. It's like it's kind of sad to not play the Taxman. I'm like, oh wait, you can play it. Yeah, I mean that definitely seems better. Um, yeah, I mean if you're the first one with a fortune, then you can threaten to do the stonemason thing.
I could see Munster buying a stonemason here. They have a points lead, and oh, well, it's a minor points lead. Not maybe it's not worth threatening the 3 pile. 2 stonemasons. My idea would be like trying to win like the next turn or 2 before you even come back to find the stonemasons. It's not like you want the stonemason in your deck. My thought was just I want the stonemason pile to be low so I can pile it out real fast if elzorro doesn't score a bunch.
Is Munster's deck good enough for that? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
that's kind of why I second guess myself. Is it's a small points lead, and these decks aren't the type that can realistically do a whole lot. Like you'd only need 10 to empty all the stonemasons, but
Wait, they bought an estate though? That doesn't seem right. I feel like in most situations where the game is ending soon enough for that to be a good play, the 1 point isn't going to matter.
yeah, I'm not sure. If I
Yeah,
were not close to triggering that shuffle, I might be more inclined to get the estate. You need an extra plus buy counto. So it costs 8 to buy 6 stonemasons because you stonemason for 2 stonemasons for 4 each. But with only 1 plus buy, you'll need 2 coins to pay for the traveling fair.
Um,
They want to stonemason fortresses. Yeah, I think I would just play the fortress here. I mean, like, what are you stonemasoning the fortress for? You could get like vassals or silvers, but you just triggered a shuffle, so I'm not looking to add a bunch of cards to my deck right now. Now you can consider it.
Finish it with
2 estates here. Are they
yeah.
going to pile out?
This doesn't look like it's gonna win though.
Yeah, this I was thinking of stonemasoning that fortress for 2 estates, just for the points.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe now that you're at the top of the shuffle, that would be reasonable.
There.
It's a duchy.
This is fair. I think this is a fine line. You're likely going to be able to empty the stonemason soon-ish, and 5 points is not an insignificant lead with these decks.
So what do you do as elzorro here? Do you just duchy?
I would just play Taxman as sheep and then duchy.
I was thinking about silver to gold. Obviously, I'm a little biased by seeing Munster's hand, but like I was thinking about it even before I saw the hand. Um, to set you up for like potentially.
I mean, my thought process would just be like, they're trying to pile out. I want to put some points on the board as quickly as possible, and duchy's the most you can score right now.
Okay, that's kind of a shady undo.
Let's see.
That's an extremely shady undo.
Yeah, I think one would deny that request.
You can't grant this.
I am typically one to just categorically accept undos, and even I would deny that request.
Yeah, no, I have the same. I normally just click grant.
Well, actually, this is tough because, like, as a spectator, I can see, oh, they had copper, they'd rather do the silver. As in MuensterCheese's position, I might be thinking, oh, they want to play that as sheep and then grant it for that reason. Like, if they were just like, I want to use this as sheep, and maybe fine. But it's like, oh, I see you have a silver. All of a sudden, that's real sketchy.
I mean, that's where you would explain it as elzorro and what you were.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you should probably explain it anyway if it's an information.
Agreed. Wait a sec. Did elzorro not even notice? That'd be hilarious if that wasn't the reason. Okay.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I didn't think it was malicious.
Yeah. Yeah, so elzorro might not have noticed, but Taxman, the way it works is your opponent has to discard a treasure. And in Dominion, there's never anything where you ever have to trust your opponent on faith. Where you have to like ask them, do you have a copper or not? And they'd be like, no, I totally don't have a copper. And then they did have a copper. And so the way around that for cards like Taxman, where it checks something for your opponent's hand, is if they don't have that card in the hand, it'll have this little clause that's like, or reveals a hand without that card. And so what happened here was elzorro played the card, and then MuensterCheese was forced to reveal their hand, showing them exactly what they had. So they gained some very relevant new information there. Yeah, I'm not really sure what... Maybe elzorro was just undoing to like, oh, I want a duchy after all, or something like that.
Or wanted to trash the silver instead, but wasn't looking.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, I just thought it was like... I mean, you definitely can't, like... You can't know that they didn't mean anything by it, even though I feel like they probably didn't.
All right, this looks like the win for Munster, right? Yeah, just traveling fair, empty stonemasons.
And then masons, yeah. Yeah, this is it.
Wait. Uh-oh. They forgot they had to buy traveling fair first?
I think they didn't see it.
Why? Wait. You're right. They stonemason for 2 islands. I thought they just bought a stonemason outright and ended their turn. I missed the island portion of that. Yeah, I think they missed it. You're right.
Well, now it's like easier.
Is it even guaranteed yet?
Well, it's not guaranteed yet, but like if you draw, I'm like.
Hey, actually, they just have to draw a copper because they can stonemason Taxman into 2 stonemasons and buy a singular one.
Nothing that wouldn't win.
Here we go. They have the win now.
Yeah, this is it. It's easy. Man, I guess that estate really mattered.
Yeah, sure enough. I mean, to be fair, maybe that was the estate that they just saw in their hand, and without the estate, they could have just like bought a new estate or something. All right, so game 1 to MuensterCheese as player 2 as well. We never did get to see the Fortune into Province play. I've never actually done that before.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Yeah, they just rushed for the green too early. For Fortune to make any sense.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that, like, if someone gets fortune, the other one can just start like scoring. But
Oh,
you
this
have to
looks like an interesting board.
yeah. Ooh,
Uh, huh.
wow.
A lot of stuff going on here.
No kidding.
I I like all the forecasts. Well, not Nomad Camp. All the other forecasts. I think Groom is a very plausible opening. Also like all the 5 costs except Minion. Maybe even Minion. I could see an argument for Minion, perhaps. It's an interesting little soft counter to Torturer. Like, if your opponent's playing multiple Torturers per turn, you could, like, frog a minion to keep it on top, then discard twice down to just a single minion, and then you use the little minion to get a new 4-card hand.
That seems like a hard counter to me.
There is, in fact, a village. Ironmonger is a village.
Yeah.
And like with a deck like this, where you can trash most of your junk, Ironmonger is very likely to be a village because you'll hit an action card most of the time.
Yeah.
That being said, I could definitely see ignoring Torturer. Like if you open with Groom early, maybe you hit 4 and 3 a bunch, but not 5 a whole lot. Your deck already gets thin before you're hitting 5 a bunch of times. Then maybe they could just trash the curses with Temple as they come in.
Maybe. Well, the thing is, you play Margrave and then Torturer.
That's fair.
And that's, I mean, yeah, I guess it's still possible for them to like temple it.
Yeah, I think my first 5 is definitely with Margrave. I think that's the stronger of the 2 attacks.
Yeah,
At least
I agree
in this
with
kingdom.
That. And the plus buy is useful.
Yep. I would like to have a lot of Ironmongers. Just like all the Ironmongers.
Yeah, so I assume that means you're getting, I mean, at least one Groom for sure. I am.
Yeah. I
The
think
game.
Groom Silver is probably my preferred opening.
Well, elzorro had a 5-2.
Yeah. Is that what did they open on 5-2? They took. I think just Margrave. Yeah, I think Margrave is good for 5-2.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure whether the 5-2 is better than the 3-4 here.
Are you trashing the estates here? This is a tough question I always wrestle with in Shepherd Kingdoms.
I mean, are you going to be playing with Shepherd?
I don't know.
I feel like you don't have to.
But you also don't have to not. I don't know.
There. I wouldn't play with Shepherd, I don't think.
AoE has a pretty good point about Margrave being a decent counter. That being said, Ironmonger also kind of plays nicely with like, oh, you hit the estate, you draw a card. I think I'm leaning towards trashing it.
Ironmonger hitting the pasture is really nice.
That's true. It's like a lab with training on it. Or a peddler with pathfinding on it. Or a ruined village with pathfinding and training on it. That one doesn't work. An enchanted ruined village with pathfinding and training on it. There we go.
Enchanted, literally. Yeah, I wouldn't keep estates around intentionally.
I was actually considering at the beginning, so I'm like Groom Estate Shepherd Rush. You end up scoring 16 points off the bat, more if your opponent's trashing their estates, and then you just like 3-pile those. I don't know if that's a real thing.
You probably get murdered by Torturer.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Like, if you don't have, like, an engine, then Torturer is just going to really, really hurt.
I mean, I think the goal would just be, like, empty those piles before they get, like, a bajillion Torturers online. Actually, wait. You just take all the curses. There's your third pile. Just empty the estates, the curses, and Grooms, and then you don't get all 10 Shepherds.
But then they need a lot. Well, I guess there's also Arena. You would be scoring a lot with Arena. But I was like, they need fewer points to... They need a couple of provinces, I think. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a good one.
I'm still kind of interested in the idea. I don't know that it's what I'd actually do, but it's the thing I would think about for a while before rejecting.
Yeah, it's definitely creative.
Yeah. I think as monster, I would... Actually, I don't know if I'd discard the minion here or not. I think I like this play. Top deck the horse and discard seems fine to me.
Yeah.
Ironmongers?
Yeah, just take Ironmongers.
I could see
Certainly.
one of them being a temple, but I really want Ironmongers. That's a lot of grooms. Can they play that many grooms?
Maybe they're going for the.
They're going for the 3 pile. It's coming.
I mean, I guess keeping pasture around does make grooming estates in like endgame nicer. So maybe you keep the pasture even if you don't keep the estates.
Yeah.
There's always, of course, the outside chance that Ironmonger does find it. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, of the 10 starting cards, definitely Pasture's the last one I would trash. It also plays well with Ironmonger, yeah.
oh, Temple, you would get a free pasture to trash if it's in your hand is the thing. So that makes it a little tough.
That's a fair point.
Like if it doesn't come up to Temple, yeah, I'm not going to go out of my way to get rid of it. But if it does, if I draw it early on with like get the chance to get a triple Temple, I might just take it.
That's very fair. All right, so elzorro was buying golds. I know how I feel about that. We don't buy golds.
I mean, I feel like it's a little early for that. I don't think buying golds is like that bad here. I mean, what do
I
you want
think
your
it's.
payload to be? Like silvers from Groom?
I think by the time you might even start wanting the golds, the game's going to be over. Like Ironmongers should be empty by then. Curses should be
That
empty by
depends on
then.
how aggressively people slam the piles, though.
Yeah.
Like that's true on your level, but it might not be true here, especially if these guys are not rushing quite as hard for the Ironmongers as like we would be.
Yeah, I mean, point being though is if they are like if my opponent is taking fewer ironmongers, that's more total turns where I'm taking the ironmongers, and so it still also just pushes back the time before which I want gold. In fact,
What are the other piles that you think are going to go though?
well, ironmongers and curses I would think for sure. And the other problem is, and I'm not sure exactly what the third pile is, could depend on the play, torture, advisor, groom, whatever, even a state maybe. But the other problem that I hadn't gotten to yet is also just like you have a bunch of grooms around inevitably because you want the ironmongers. Once those run out, I would happily just groom for silvers for payload, which might be in the abstract slightly worse than gold, but it's just such a smaller opportunity cost. If I have to play my groom for something anyway.
Yeah.
State rush? Is it gonna
Oh,
happen? All right, the 3 piles coming.
there do. Uh, I mean, it seems pretty strong at this point. Um,
Groom the state's ironmongers. Maybe is the idea.
Probably, yeah.
So MuensterCheese just likes to 3 pile estates, is what I'm getting from these two games.
Yeah, elzorro really needs some ironmongers. How many do they even have?
Let's find out. Canes and Ironmonger. None. All of them are in Monster's deck.
And and elzorro has all of the terminal draw.
Yeah, I like Ironmonger a lot. For starters, it's like it's a really good version of a village because when you start out early, it never really gives you the village effect. It's going to be hitting either estate, which is plus card, which makes that a nice little $4 lab, or it'll hit copper and it'll give you plus coin, which is something you want early on. And then as your deck becomes more action dense, then you trash those, it starts turning into a village, which is the card you probably want by the time you're adding actions. So all those effects are really nice. But then on top of that, it has this additional effect that I think people overlook, which is the ability to reveal and potentially discard the top of your deck. Just really adds a lot for reliability. Like every time you hit an estate or copper, just discard it down to the bottom, and your deck is just much more likely to play smoothly.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That shepherd seemed good. I guess these grooms are a little bit sadder once the estates are out.
Maybe you could take a shepherd as monster. I actually think there's a good argument though for just continuing with ironmongers for draw because that's a lower pile, and as monster you're looking at 3 pile.
Take a shepherd. I think it's pretty reasonable. Yeah, the Ironmongers are also nice with so much green in your deck.
Yep. So states are out. Monster's got a lead.
Monster looks pretty bad. I mean,
being
elzorro isn't buying the Ironmongers and isn't going to be able to get a deck together in time, probably.
yeah. Although now the question remains, how fast can Munster empty the rest of the piles? I think they took the estates a little too aggressively, because now all your grooms are kind of dead cards. Or all the other grooms, except for the terminal one. I still think I would definitely prefer MuensterCheese's position here.
Yeah, honestly, if you think it's going to take a while as MuensterCheese, then you start getting shepherds just so you actually like get some deck control back. I mean, you're not going to have like full deck control, but
Now, I still think I'm rushing down the Ironmongers. It's just like this, the shortest pile, and it's with Margrave attacks and torture attacks and whatnot, probably about as good for playing with estates as Shepherd is. Yeah, elzorro's in an awkward position because the thing their deck really needs is Village, which is Ironmonger, which you now don't want to lower because it's one of the lowest piles.
still have to lower it.
Yeah, it's...
You have to get at least a few.
Honestly, as elzorro, I guess I'm trying to pivot into like the Margrave money or something now because I need to score short term and I don't want to help Munster lower piles. Yeah, Ironmonger seems fine.
Yeah, I guess with elzorro does province here, I would assume, just because you need play Zombie Apprentice.
Interesting.
Why not at least play Nathan?
I'm gonna guess they asked for an undo. It's possible they misinterpreted which one is which.
I mean,
I've definitely confused Zombie Apprentice and Zombie Mason before because it's often hard to read the role like small text.
Both say trash.
Yeah, exactly. And so maybe they're trying to Mason it. Zombie Spy is usually easy to identify by the big +1 card, +1 action.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, they wanted Spy. That's fine.
Yeah, you get the sifting.
Yeah, I don't think this game is over by any stretch. Munster might have pulled the trigger a bit early on the estates.
Munster's got a lot of Ironmongers and a lot of like a couple of horses going into the shuffle. It's gonna look decent at least.
I think as Munster, you discard down to 2 Ironmongers and Minion.
Probably.
Could be Ironmonger Groom Minion with just like the hope that your Ironmonger hits an action and then you get to play the Groom, but just
I think
looks safer.
Well, doesn't even buy a silver.
Well, I guess you don't need the minion after all. You're going to draw a bunch with your Shepherd. Oh, they get to buy a Duchy here, which I would take, I think, over an extra action card. Like, take the last Ironmonger, buy Duchy, I think.
Yeah, Ironmonger by Duchy seems good.
Ooh. They're going for broke here. Will it pay off? Well, it looks like they get to take an Ironmonger and buy Duchy anyway.
They got to attack also, though, so...
That's fair. Yeah, it's
plus for the move, I guess.
A little gamble, but I think it ended up being marginally better than the alternative. They also spent a horse, though, I guess, so it's not like strictly better.
2 horses, actually.
Oh, fair. Two horses. Duchy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Piles are so low.
So what do you do now as Munster? Just go for the rest of the grooms?
I think so.
I don't think your lead is that good for that.
Like, elzorro's deck is just a lot better at hitting 8.
Well, is it?
It's got some golds, and importantly, it doesn't have like 11 estates in it.
It is better at hitting 8. I don't, if you added shepherds...
Oh, they forgot, or maybe they just didn't want to, but you could have frogged that groom.
Yeah, probably should have.
Yeah, I think if you frog the groom, you're looking at a very likely scenario of emptying all 3 grooms. They might be able to do it anyway, with good draws here. Okay, top deck that. They're getting close. Just need to find another groom, well, and an action, I guess. Oh, they have all the grooms they need, but they don't have the actions yet. So close. I think you just take the last 2 grooms and pray they can't score.
Risky. I don't know if there's anything better though.
Yeah, like your deck's not hitting 8, I don't think, anytime soon.
Yes, but on the other hand, elzorro doesn't have a lot of gains. So if Munster kept the game going, yeah, I don't know. I guess all it takes is elzorro to buy 1 province, and then you're just in trouble.
Yeah.
So
even a duchy, I think, would have been quite problematic for Munster here, but elzorro totally whiffs. And just as Munster is thinking they've lost. Quite inaccurate prediction there.
A lot for elzorro to win that. They would have had to draw like 9 with 2 buys, or
I mean, all they had to do, I think, was just hit 5 there. If they buy a duchy, Munster has a really hard time hitting 5 to even retake the points lead.
Still puts them in a real good spot.
All right, 2-0 for MuensterCheese.
Well, we got to see how your rush played out. Wasn't much of a rush.
Yeah, it did win. So I'm going to take that as evidence that I was right.
Of course.
The old 19-turn rush. B.
Be right.
Good advice. Be right. Don't be wrong. Wait, why can't I see the spectators button? Shouldn't that be there? Can you see the spectators button?
On the what, in the top left next to players?
Oh, I'm dumb. We're in the lobby. I forgot it. It's at the top left in the lobby. I was looking at the bottom right. It migrates.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to the new system.
I'm also seeing it overflowing the box at the bottom.
Overflowing the box.
Like the list of players scrolls beyond the bottom of the white box for me.
Oh, that does not happen for me. Ooh. So this is Bridge Troll. How do we get there? My intuitive opening is going to be Shantytown Exorcist, I think.
Seems reasonable.
So what we got here is, I mean, Bridge Troll's really strong payload. The goal is just to play a bunch of those and then you win, because you can buy all the provinces at once. Realistically, how most Bridge Troll games go, I think, is they get contested, and then you end up buying like out all the duchies or something, because you don't have quite enough empty provinces, and then you win that way with a 3 pile.
Or you just like empty all the piles that are low enough when your opponent isn't looking.
Yeah. So what's the fastest way to get there? A lot of potential ways to draw. There's Tactician, there's Will-O-Wisp and Imp, there's, I guess, kind of Apothecary, there's Hunting Lodge. A lot of them look good. There's Pathfinding.
Oh, that is funny. Ball was pretty strong here because you're going to get the -1 coin token anyway.
Yeah. Also, with Bridge Troll around, you can ball for 2 5-cost cards.
Yeah.
You could even theoretically ball for Province with 4 Bridge Trolls in play.
Yeah, if you really want to flex.
Yeah, my guess is Pathfinding doesn't get bought, and the ball for Province thing never happens, because in a Bridge Troll game, there's never really much incentive to add a bunch of money, because you're adding Bridge Troll for payload, which just reduces the cost of everything, and so your deck ends up having, like, no money in it. And so stuff like Ball and Pathfinding, which require actual money and don't get their costs reduced, will just never get bought, because you won't have enough money to ever hit 8.
Pathfind Tactician.
Pathfinding Tactician is actually really interesting, because it lets you play multiple Tacticians. No, never mind. I'm thinking of the other. Wait, does that work?
You need you need a throne for that.
Is that okay? Yeah, you still need that. Yeah, it doesn't quite work, does it?
Throne Pathfinder Tactician lets you play multiple Tacticians.
Yeah. So we
right. Tactician, yeah,
Yeah,
that doesn't.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, so you need additional support for that to happen.
Do you
Sad.
think Tactician looks good here?
I could see a world where tactician gets gotten. I mean,
It
fine with bridge troll.
it gets an
Um,
exorcist though.
yeah, my argument against it is I'm a big exorcist fan, and in particular with bridge trolls around, will o wisps just sound wonderful. They'll become little laboratories.
Exorcist is great.
Yeah,
Will-O-Wisp is great with Bridge Troll. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
yeah. Like I don't hate the tactician thing, but I think I would have enough draw from Exo and maybe hunting lodges.
They both did Exorcist Silver. I feel like for sure Fishing Village must be better than Silver.
Yeah, Fishing Village seems strictly better than Silver. I still think I'd take Shanty for the draw. I want to maximize my chance of finding the Exorcist. I think Munster had a sad hand with 4 coppers and an Exo. You don't want to have to trash your coppers first, because trashing a state is so much better.
Yeah. That is quite sad.
Troll Exo will get a little bit sad, I guess, eventually. Like, if you had multiple trolls in play, trashing estates wouldn't actually get you a Willows, because it already costs 0. Realistically speaking, though, is you'd get all the estates out of your deck before that happens.
Yeah, that should happen probably. That you are out of estates.
There was an herbalist bot, and I'm left to wonder why. Let me look.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 3 herbalist. Yeah, I don't know why you ever want an herbalist here. It's just like a worse copper. I'd take Hamlet for sure. 1-2.
I mean, you like plus buys in Bridge Troll games, but even still, Herbalist sucks.
I mean, the plus buy also comes from Hamlet.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's almost never any excuse to ever buy herbalist, except if there's no other plus buy anywhere in the kingdom.
If it's the only plus buy.
Yeah, and here we have Ball, Bridge Troll, Hamlet, Tactician, lots of gains. Even Herbalist Capital is like not really a thing. I don't think I've never in my life played Herbalist Capital. It's like an interesting interaction to notice and then disregard.
Yeah, I guess Alchemist Herbalist isn't that bad.
I don't know. Like, you're adding an extra stop card just to top deck the potion. It's again a thing I don't think I've ever done before.
I don't think I've ever seen them on a board together.
Herbalist can be good with ways. If your goal is to just add an action card to your deck to play it as a way instead of as an herbalist. It's probably the best case scenario for it. JC Thress is correct. I've never played Alchemy only.
I haven't either, but that kind of begs the question, why would I ever do that?
Yeah, it sounds horrible. Why would you ever play only Alchemy?
I have played a dual set match with Alchemy.
Ew, that sounds horrible.
It's a lot more likely to come up in dual set.
Imagine just buying Dominion and your first Dominion box is Alchemy. You would hate this game.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Anyways, who has the Bridge Troll already? Munster does. Yeah, so I think that was a clear Bridge Troll buy from elzorro.
Yeah, I like the hunting lodges.
Yeah, I think Bridge Troll's my first 5 and maybe even my second, but I can definitely see picking up hunting lodges.
I guess it would depend on how many other villages I had by that point. Because if I already have a bunch of fishing villages,
well, even you don't even need a village to play 2 Bridge Trolls.
Well, no, I just mean in terms of like how useful the hunting lodge would be for me. Yeah, I guess that's true. If Bridge Troll is going to be my only terminal.
So capitalism turns my herbalist from a terminal copper into a copper. And that's an upgrade.
An action. The capitalism reason would be you can top deck a good card instead of a stop card.
Yeah, but it's still a copper.
Top deck your Grand Market or something. Yeah, I mean it's still a copper, but like.
Yeah, you need to make because like how many of the plus coin cards even the actions, do you usually want a top deck? Not a whole lot. Those are usually your payload cards.
Yeah.
Because it's a limited scheme effect. Like, the things I would really want to scheme would be like City Quarter or King's Court, and it can't scheme those. Can't
You can
scheme.
Crown, I guess.
Can it? I don't think it can. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Crown's just a normal treasure. It doesn't need to be capitalism. Yeah, scheming Crown would be okay.
Capitalism for that.
But yeah. The problem with the Herbalist is just, like, so far below the, like, buyability threshold that even, like, big buffs like capitalism just, like, rarely, I think, push it above. Worse than nothing. Yeah. The Herbalist Bazaar capitalism synergy. Well-known combo there.
Speaking of Herbalist being bad, elzorro got another one. So
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah. Shantytown and Pathfinding. That's an expensive stack of villages.
Oh yeah, it was like a rules question. Somebody was confused why their Shantytown didn't draw. Yeah, that's horrible. Of course, don't put Pathfinding in Shantytown.
Yeah, there's bigger lessons to be learned if your problem is how my Pathfinding token ended up on Shantytown in the first place.
Maybe it was possession. Your opponent put it there. If I Pathfind anything, it's got to be Hamlet here, right?
Yeah, Hamlet's a good target.
Because you don't want to put it on duration.
I agree with that. Yeah, Hamlet's probably the best target, I would think.
And you can just spam Hamlet so easy. And they get drawn by Wisps even without Bridge Trolls in play. So yeah, Hamlet just looks good here.
Yeah, I'd love to have all the Hamlets in my deck. And I would love to not buy Herbalists so as to have more opportunities to buy Hamlets.
Yeah. It's a village if you really need the village effect. It's a plus buy if that's what you need. And then if you ever get the chance to buy Pathfinding, they're all labs.
Yep.
And it also like is combos of your Wisps. So yeah.
elzorro did get rather close to hitting 8 there.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like possible to hit 8. I wouldn't go out of my way to do it though.
Yeah.
Probably. But like if I happened to hit it and I had some Hamlets, I don't know. I guess it would depend on the state of the game. Everything does. But we'll see. If someone hits 8, we can.
No,
we can debate.
Not an Herbalist. Third Herbalist. Oh my goodness. This person must have a whole lot of herbs. Hey.
Oh, look at that! Somebody hit 8. Didn't even think about it.
Bye.
I mean, I think those buys are reasonable, but that was pretty fast to just pass up Pathfinding like that. I don't know what the Hamlet split is, but my guess is Munster has more because Munster hasn't been buying Herbalists.
Yeah, that seems like a good guess. Let's check. Actually, no. I'm looking at 2 Hamlets in elzorro's hand, and there's only 4 Hamlets gone, so Munster cannot have more.
Must be. It's probably 2 and 2.
elzorro's just getting all the 2-cost cards.
I think Munster has at least 2.
Discard that silver for plus buy, and then just pitch everything and draw. Is gold less bad than Herbalist?
Well, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, are you talking about buying with 6? I would definitely rather buy gold with 6 than buy Herbalist with 6.
Yeah, like if for some reason I had only options to take gold or Herbalist between the two, I think I would take gold for like a chance to high roll Pathfinding, or buy extra Bridge Trolls when I've only got like 1 or 2 in play. The Herbalist would, like, in the very long-term situation be better because it's plus buy once everything costs 0 anyway. But by that point, I'd probably have tons of Bridge Trolls and Hamlets.
At that point, the game must be over.
Yeah.
Almost over.
I mean, my ideal deck here definitely has no copies of either Herbalist or gold in it, for sure.
More Herbalists.
What do they think Herbalist does that would justify? Like, even if you wanted them, you surely recognize you don't need 5 of them. So I'm gonna call this one for Munster. This is looking like the 3-0.
Ooh. elzorro can empty the herbalists this turn.
Oh no, I sure hope not. It could ball for 2 herbalists.
Okay, I guess that's better than buying an herbalist.
Fair point, Davor. I guess. Oh, they're taking the hamlets now. I like that. I don't like the province at all, not one bit, but I like the hamlets. And there's a moment I compliment the hamlets. They have to buy an herbalist.
I think they just feel bad that the hamlet pile was so much was getting so much more attention. The herbalist had to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're vegetarian. You can't take hunting lodge. Can't take fishing village.
That bridge troll probably doesn't look like a vegetarian.
I think you can't eat troll.
So what are the piles are looking pretty low at this point.
Yeah, the herbalist pile is remarkably low. Counto is correct.
I guess maybe the point of the herbalist is like disappearing money for the draw to X. Like what they're doing is kind of effective. Like it would be great if herbalists were something that gave you more than 1 coin, but like they at least like have stuff that they're doing with it.
Why do you even need the money? Like your bridge trolls should be enough to make everything cost 0. You could use hamlets for a plus buy that doesn't take search space.
Yeah. Like the hamlet just gives you the buy too is the thing. Like hamlet draw to X is an even stronger synergy than just regular.
Yeah, like everything you'd want herbalist to do, hamlet just does better. Now you pathfind herbalist here. Clearly, you got a bunch of them. Seriously, what do they buy though?
Province? I mean, like, I guess you are getting points. I don't know if you have to, but
and I was thinking maybe something like
province is what I was expecting. Whether or not it was good is what I was expecting.
Yeah. I guess the question of what do you buy in iLeague games tends to be province. The question of what ought you buy, the answer tends not to be province.
Bridge trolls probably. Does Zorro only have 1?
I think they have more than that, right? I want to say they have 2 of them.
Let's
see.
That's
1, 2.
Risky.
Yeah, they have 3 of them. It's 3/3 on bridge trolls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was even riskier then. Although Zorro duds, I can't imagine why.
They theoretically have enough gains to empty Fishing Village and Herbalist with Ball if they had a whole lot more money.
Yeah, that's not happening.
As Herbalist, not as Herbalist. I'm just referring to Zorro as a Herbalist subconsciously. As elzorro, I think I would just empty the Fishing Villages and Herbalists here, or as many as I could to threaten to 3-pile next turn. Take a Fishing Village now. Yeah. Now you put MuensterCheese on the clock here. Now they're going to be the one to be like, I'm going to 3-pile and you can't score enough to stop me.
Yeah, and Munster doesn't have
now. Alright, now can Munster score 12 points?
I mean, probably not.
Looks like it's a no. They just whiffed. And they see the hunting lodge on top as well. How sad.
Yeah, I mean...
So not that it would have made a difference here, it doesn't look like, in this particular situation. But if I have, like, Will-O-Wisp and another draw card, I think I prefer playing the Will-O-Wisp first in most scenarios. Because usually, like, the key cards you need to continue on with your turn are the expensive stuff. And so I would rather play the Will-O-Wisp early so that if there's, like, a cop or something in the way, I pull that out of the way, and then I get one more chance to find, like, my hunting lodge or something like that. Which is the reverse of how you'd play like Herald or something. With Herald, you'd usually want to play the Herald last, not first, so as to maximize the chance to hit Hunting Lodge with the Herald effect. Oh, actually, do they have it here? I don't think they have it. Oh, no, they do have it. They have enough actions. They have it by exactly 1. I was looking close.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. Um, Munster needs to stop saying GG and then not resigning.
Yes.
Like, I realize that you're just trying to I don't know what you're trying to do. Actually, show that you're like perceptive enough to know when you're going to be beaten, but then not resigning.
Yeah, they actually incorrectly called GG the first game.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like when you
Yeah.
call GG, sometimes you're wrong, and then it just looks like the other person sits there awkwardly. Like, are they going to resign?
Yeah, and
Should I?
I think it's a binding contract. Like if you're elzorro, you just cash in on that resign. No take backs.
Yeah, I mean, if you really like think that you're dead, then you could either just say like this is probably GG, or I guess that's what they said last time. Like they said something like um so like you got this by figure. So I mean they could be wrong. Even still, just like say GG after the game, or when you could like see them having enough money to end it. Okay, what do we got here?
Yeah, Baker is the obelisk pile, which does make Baker look a lot more attractive. I still don't think I would open with it, but it's not a bad idea. I think I want native villages and some draw cards.
Yeah, Nate. What draw cards of the what variety? You can do things like vault and minion or something.
I was thinking tragic. Some mix of these is honestly fine. Like Vault plays interestingly well with Scholar.
Yeah, vault and scholar or vault and minion.
Yeah.
Both strong, but the scholar one takes more actions, and your village is kind of native.
Yeah, I also would I like the idea of setting lots of cards aside with native village here because there's no trashing.
I mean, I just like the idea of having actions. Like
That as well is another
yeah,
benefit of native village is it is a village.
aside is probably fine. Yeah, I guess if you set a bunch of things aside, then you could maybe do like poorhouse payload. I don't know. I guess the vaulting is probably fine for them
Yeah,
though.
I'm pretty
You
sure I want
cer-
to play with tragic heroes though for the plus buy.
yeah, you certainly want at least one tragic hero. Um,
Baker
so
silver seems all right. I'm not exactly sure how I open. Yeah, I'm actually very uncertain how I open. I could see opening with Tragic Hero. I could see the Baker. I could see Vault, maybe. And
I
then
don't know. Well,
on the 3 could be Engineer, could be Silver, could be Native Village. Could be Pass for Bath points, I guess. Probably not that.
probably not. I was feeling like maybe Tragic Hero Native Village, but you're kind of sad if you draw the Native Village dead.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe just like Tragic Hero Silver, then try and get like a couple of nice cards.
Yeah, Tragic Hero Silver, Baker Engineer, something along those lines all sound good. What's the fancy stuff that we're talking about?
Probably the Vault, like discard for benefit, draw to X.
I
I would
get.
think.
I don't think you're building a deck that ever like fully comes together or anything. But I think if you just shove a bunch of those cards into your deck, good turns will happen.
I feel like it's doable to build a deck that fully comes together. I guess the problem is that the native villages are going to eat your deck.
Yeah, like there's no good way to top deck things here. Otherwise,
You
you'd
have,
be like trash with Native Village.
yeah, maybe the native village just eating your deck is the biggest problem here because you have to keep setting stuff aside, and eventually, when you set aside all your bad stuff, it's going to start setting aside good stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty fine just like using the Native Village to set aside like 70-80% of the time, and having like one or two real big turns, and not necessarily permanently trashing anything in Native Village, but I think that would work pretty well. This does feel like a very Wandering Winder-esque board. It's like money-ish, but like not quite money to play straight money. You still like do sort of like quasi-build, like halfway things.
What if you just went for a straight Megaturn strategy here, right? Like, get a bunch of native villages, like, get a vault, and get a bunch of tragic heroes. And then your idea is just to set tons of things aside, pick them all up, pop all the heroes, discard all your junk to the vault, and then just, like, buy 4 provinces or something. Is that like feasible?
Maybe. I mean,
I don't know.
probably
Um,
not, because like if you're only getting 4 provinces, presumably they have the other 4, and then they also have like bakers for obelisk points.
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be exactly for province. You like get some duchies and stuff. I don't know if that's. But then, I mean, after that, you just have like a money deck. You've got like golds in there, the
You
vaults.
pop the tragic heroes for silvers, and then you buy a bunch of fiat at the end.
That's the big brain play.
Is engineer fiatum rush a thing? Is like getting that fiatum and then the silvers? I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
I'm gonna go with. I mean, if it is a thing, Crossroads certainly helps it a lot. Um, but it doesn't sound like a thing to me.
Yeah, I think I want a fair number of bakers here because they're also worth points. Although you don't necessarily need to like spam them over every other action card, which they're doing. I think I'd at least take one tragic hero early for the plus buy because I'd like to get like baker plus native village on turns where I hit
Yeah,
more than 5.
if I were doing Baker's stack, I would probably have minions as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
Minion likes, non-terminal money cards. Play all your Bakers, minion to discard, then hopefully you find more Bakers or other stuff.
Yep. elzorro hits 3. I mean, they're taking native villages, which I like, but they're not adding terminal action cards, which makes it a little bit of a waste. Nerdbound, you believe in the bakers as in, like, to the exclusion of all else? Like, I don't think I would have taken 5 bakers before any other terminal action cards here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't exclude all else. Exclude most else, maybe.
Well, they do. they are currently at 5 bakers and 0 other 5-cost cards.
Oh no, we got a tragic.
All right, I like that. I like the tragic hero buy. Yeah, I definitely want tragic heroes. The plus buy seems nice enough to justify it.
This is a board that I would love to get on ladder because then I would play the vault thing without like worrying at all.
Which is like vault money.
No, like the vault draw to X, like vault
Oh,
minion,
I see, yeah.
whatever. And because like if I lose, it's not a big deal. I would probably play it. I would probably lose, but I would, improve from it, and also enjoy it. So like, but getting this in league, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I would think for a while, if this were a match I had in League, about where I wanted my deck to go. And I think the conclusion I would reach is just like some combination of native villages and all the 5s.
More bakers. Yeah, I feel like the baker stacks could definitely use the minion. Like, you just see your cards faster.
Fiat
Uh,
'em! Fiat
into
'em!
it.
They're doing it!
Oh boy.
We have
Well, that
these.
can't be good, right?
Hmm?
That can't be good.
They have 2 engineers.
It,
Yeah, I don't think the Fiatum engineer thing plays phenomenally well with Baker because it's not a thing that's starving for money. It's a thing that's kind of starving for gains, and Baker isn't really helping you gain cards.
yeah, I have no idea what
Not,
the was about.
yeah, like I said it somewhat jokingly earlier. I don't think it's like horrible or anything, but I don't think it should beat provinces. You don't get silvers nearly fast enough for those to be like super strong or anything.
Yeah, I mean it's something you should consider, but like
Also, I think I would take the Fiatum later. Like take silvers and engineers early. You can pop engineer for 2 fiat in the very end game if you need it. And like if your opponent like tries to strategically deny fiatum from you, I'd be very happy to let them have a bunch of fiat in their deck. And then you just play for provinces with a bunch of silvers.
wait. Oh, wow, they actually did pop Tragic Hero for silver.
All right, we're gonna have fiatum contested. That's not the direction I expected this to go, but okay, fiatum it is. elzorro going straight in for the Fiatum. There's no tomorrow.
How much are they even worth? I wasn't watching.
I don't know, but not much.
Oh yeah, there's like only 5 silvers have been gained at all.
Yeah,
So like,
between the two decks.
one of them has Fiat worth 1 point.
And one of them has Fiato worth no points.
Well, it's obviously Zoros are worth a point because I can see 3 silvers.
Yeah, fair. All right, Munster's getting the 0-point Fiatum.
So this is just gonna turn into a miserable. What's the third pile? I wonder.
Baker's silver or
Baker,
Baker silver Fiatum.
Baker was the second one. I'm assuming Baker
Okay.
and
Engineer perhaps or Native Village.
yeah, Engineer and Native Village are the ones I was looking at.
I mean, I guess if you're both going for the Fiatum deck, you don't have to worry about the 3-pile rush.
Well, yeah, but how's the game ever gonna end? Is the question. I want to see this game end if they split the Fiat up.
I don't
want to
know.
see it forever. I mean, I think it was far too early, unless you were like rushing. Like it was far too early to start greening.
If I were doing the Fiatum thing, I sure would want a lot more engineers.
I would want a better deck. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of vague, but like, I would want more draw probably. If I was not just gonna launch right into the rush. I mean, if it's gonna launch right into the rush, I would just open double engineer and like probably grab some silvers with them, and then crossroads or two, and then start on the Fiat. But like, if you're actually gonna build a deck first.
All right. Fiat are the first pile to go. Oh, wait. No, they're not. They're going to buy Baker instead. I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I agree. Engineers probably gonna. Oh, I guess maybe not. Because what are you getting the engineers for here? I guess for silvers. Yeah, I guess maybe the engineers will run if people are just spamming them to gain silvers.
Let's see what the Fiatum split was. I think it's 4-4.
Yeah, it's about how I expected it to go.
Tragic Hero.
I'm curious about the Fiatum split. If only because it makes like tracking how many points people could score easier. I guess their plan is to like native village everything, like, or not.
So I think you take a silver here and buy an engineer. Could just buy
Probably.
another silver. They trashed their engineer for a silver.
Seems fine.
Tragic Hero. Okay.
I guess that's a really roundabout way of buying a silver.
Yep.
In fact, it's just never gonna pop unless you like do it on a native village turn.
Yeah.
Or you get a good crossroads draw first.
Yeah, popping Tragic Heroes is kind of hard here, which is good for most decks, but actually kind of bad for the Fiatum thing.
Munster doesn't even have crossroads, I don't think. Surely you want at least like 1 or 2 in this deck. It's like a lost city most of the time if your deck is full of green.
Well, to be fair, the deck is also full of silvers. Let's see. So it would have been a Necropolis, or it was a Necropolis there for elzorro, but it would be like a triple lab in this hand from Munster. Well, I guess, or double lab, depending which card gets replaced. Would be... So many Tragic Heroes are being taken.
I guess you don't want the other 5s. I mean, the other 5s look better than Tragic Hero here. Well, Scholar doesn't, but Minion Bolt look better.
Yeah, I think Minion's better than Tragic Hero for their deck at this point. Honestly, I think more realistically, I'd probably just like buy more silvers directly and then save up coffers to have like a province buy at some point. Given that,
Yes.
I mean, like Tragic Hero is a card I would want a bunch of if I was building, but they kind of went straight for the Fiatum, which makes it a lot less valuable, I think.
Huh. Okay, so you never use coffers to pay off debt unless you want to buy something else that turn, because there's no reason to.
Yeah, Munster could have just bought the engineer, kept the debt, and then if they decide they wanted to buy something next turn, they could have used the coffer the following turn to pay off the debt. Also, a secondary mistake I think here is so Munster pops their engineer earlier in the same shuffle for a silver, and then later rebuys an engineer, which basically is just like throwing away one coin. Because if you trash engineer for 2 silvers and rebuy engineer, you spent 4 to get a deck that has 2 silvers in it. Whereas if you just play engineer for a silver and buy a silver, you spent 3 to get a deck that has 2 silvers in it.
Yes. True.
Can Monster pop hero here? They cannot. They have no cards in their native village mat.
Oh, now it takes. I guess Zoro didn't want to do that silly take silver thing. So you buy
Honestly, I
province.
think I wouldn't take a silver here at this point, given that each of those silvers is worth more than 1 victory point on average. Like 1 1/3.
Gold. The gold isn't going to be all that great, I guess. Who just got that crossroads? I wasn't watching.
Control
There's
F.
one.
Gains the
Monster really should
crossroads.
have a crossroads. Like it's just probably going to be at least a cantrip.
elzorro loves their crossroads. Yeah,
But yeah, they're pretty good here.
I do not dislike the crossroads.
They're unlikely to collide, and even if they do collide, you don't have that many terminals. You probably just get it to be like the second one is like a draw. Just like +2 or maybe +3 cards. That's like pretty fine.
Yeah, that crossroads drew 3 cards. That crossroads drew 5 cards. Oh my. That crossroads drew a lot of cards. They're actually drawing their deck? Wow. That was quite the sequence there. Man, if only they still had a Tragic Hero for plus buy.
Yeah. I mean, Zoro's definitely ahead now.
Yep.
They were. I mean, the crossroads are just doing work. Maybe witnessing this turn, Munster will realize that they ought to be getting crossroads.
This is looking bad for Munster.
Maybe the third pile is just province.
Yeah, it's
I would
possible.
probably
Like,
not get that one.
given that they both put a bajillion bakers into their deck, and they're otherwise buying very cheap cards, I would expect the coffers to bank up enough to hit province pretty often.
Munster blows all their coffers to get the crossroads. Desperately trying to catch up on point.
I want to say to Minion Pawn, it's not elzorro, it's elzorro. But I can't actually roll my R's in a way that would make the difference intelligible.
I can't either. You take bath points here, right?
Yes.
That seems better than like anything else you do. Ooh, okay.
They spend a lot of coffers to not score points.
I mean, maybe it'll eventually become silver and score points.
Yes, I agree with Mala's assessment of how to pronounce it. But myself not being a motorbike, I am unable to replicate it. What's thorough mean anyway? It's fox, right? I mean, beyond the like hero character.
That sounds right. Yeah, I mean, Zoro probably has the win here, assuming they can draw one coin.
Yes, which I
It's
guess is pretty likely.
it's possible not to with all the green, but like you're probably gonna.
The age-old question. ¿Qué
Yeah.
dices, elzorro? Now, I'm real rusty in my Spanish, but that's more directed like to the fox, right? Like, fox, what do you say?
I took French in high school. Don't look at me.
Oui, oui. my American is showing. Uh,
So yeah, looking at the end game stats, those Fiota not good investments.
yeah, I would agree with that. It did not score a whole bunch of points.
I mean, it looks like Zoro's master plan was to get the Fiota, scare Munster into denying Fiota, and then just switch to using crossbows to draw.
Yeah, the old bait and switch.
Yeah,
Cunning fox.
it was a pretty effective bait because Zoro actually had a deck at the end.
Yeah, so Elzor was like, I'm gonna go for the quick few to rush 3 pile, and Monk's just like, no, that's my thing. I go for the 3 pile green rush, and then jumped on it. And I was like, gotcha.
How many games was that?
I am terrible at keeping track. I'm pretty sure that's the 4th game, and it's 2-2.
It was 3 or 4. Um, let me
Because
consult my.
Zoro won the Bridge Troll game, Zoro won the Theodem game, MuensterCheese won the Estate Rush, and
I don't trust it up.
and the Stonemason one. We've had multiple Stonemason ones, haven't we?
I think you're right that it's you're right. It's 2-2.
Okay. So still anyone's match. Zoro has returned.
Oh, we could have just waited for
Yeah.
Munster to tell us the score.
And the number of games remaining.
This is a cultist game.
Oof. I don't like cultist.
Yeah, and there's no village.
I would think just, I don't know, silver here into cultists.
Yeah.
I feel like that's usually what I do with cultists.
Yep.
I want to believe in, like, you buy a bunch of transmogrifies and then you call them on the cultists to, like, draw your deck non-terminally by trashing cultist into cultist a bunch. And then you, like, play a bunch of foragers and buy Triumph a bunch of times for some mega turn.
That's you have a very narrow window where you can do that.
It definitely wouldn't work, but I want it to work.
I mean, I'm with you that it's nice to pretend there's something other than cultist money that you can play.
Yeah, I think this is just cultist. The big problem with cultist is it chains well with itself and like very poorly with everything else. So you're disincentivized from buying any other action cards, even stuff like transmogrify, because if you see transmogrify in your starting hand, you can play it, but there's a good chance it just gets drawn by one of the sequences of cultists, and so it's not even usually worth adding. I think I might just stick with pure cultist money here.
I think you do. Evidently, Zoro disagrees. Now, okay, I guess the Enchantress has a chance of like high rolling.
Yeah, as player 1 especially, like Enchantress isn't that bad. Especially like what if they happen to have the 5/2 and then your Enchantress like blocks their cultist? T-Mog Silver, I think, is defensible, but it'd be real good if you saw it turn 3. If you see your transmog at turn 3, then you're very likely to hit 5 turn 4. The sad part would be if you see your transmog turn 4 and then it stops you from hitting 5 on the first shuffle, and then you don't get a cultist into your deck. Those things just snowball so fast.
And the thing is, you're gonna see the T-Mog like maybe twice if you're lucky, or maybe 3 times, I guess. It could show up in your starting hand, but it just like probably won't.
So it looks like both of them are getting punished for opening with an action card that wasn't silver, because both of them would have hit 5 turn 3 and then didn't because their action card was not a silver.
Yep.
I guess if we're going to open with an action, maybe Shepherd. Shepherd's reasonably likely to help you hit 5, and it advances through your deck quicker to help you find the cultist. I think just silver, though.
Yeah, I think silver too. Because the Shepherd, especially with the ruins, you're not likely to, even if you find it in the starting hand, you're probably not going to find it with that many green cards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's like, maybe you find it with one estate.
Like I think Shepherd is better than silver going into your first reshuffle, but it's going to get a lot worse once you got cultists and ruins around.
Yeah, it'll just become garbage if you even can play it. So elzorro finally makes it to 5.
Cultist games, I think, do tend to have a pretty big first player advantage.
Yes, but it's not FPA when you didn't open silver.
That's fair.
You would have gotten the first cultist if you.
Well, we have overlooked an important detail. They actually did not buy the cultist.
Ah.
I don't like the coven.
That would be a detail, yeah.
I mean, it's not like horrible. I mean, cursing is not bad, but you're not going to get in 10 curses, I don't think, before the game ends. And the ruins actually hurt your opponent's deck.
Yes. I mean, I understand why you want to buy coven, but I actually don't. Well, I guess maybe it's the fear of drawing stuff dead with cultist, but like that's the reason why you don't draw other stuff or don't buy other stuff. Not don't buy cultist.
Yeah, I think I would just take a silver here and then buy the cultist now as elzorro.
Yeah.
Vassal.
I mean, that also gets you to 5, but then it's just going to be a deck card.
Yeah, I'm often a fan of opening Vassal over Silver in the opening, like Vassal Silver compared to Silver.
And this causes a shuffle. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, but in this kingdom, I'm much less a fan of that.
I honestly, I might be more confused now that they did get the cultist, because why did you get the coven first?
Unsure.
I mean, if you're gonna go for cultist, you just go for it. Like, why do you get a coven first?
I still think I prefer elzorro's position, nonetheless.
Maybe? I don't know. elzorro has a lot of action cards that aren't cultist. And Munster only has like a few, right?
Munster does have that shepherd.
Munster's got a shepherd. Munster's got at least one enchantress. One of them has 2. I don't know.
And we see why that coven should have been a cultist. Rather than hitting 5 and buying a third cultist, you draw it dead and can't play it.
Yep.
Also, why that vassal should have been a silver, which also could have helped you buy a cultist. This is why I hate cultists so much. It's just like, so frequently the very monolithic cultist-based thing just ends up being the best strategy. And there's like no room to get fancy or do like nice interactive plays. Each time you try, it just makes your deck worse than if you just bought the simple silver cultist.
Sometimes there's room for it. Usually there isn't.
Yes, I do have cultist banned and have for quite a while.
I have it 50%. Probably should ban it. I had a really, really awful cultist game earlier today. My opponent had a 5-2, and then there was Stonemason, so you could buy Stonemason for 2 cultists, and it was just a...
More
got like slammed by ruins before I could do anything at all. Yeah, I should probably just ban it. I would need to free up a spot on my ban list though. But
More so than the other cards on my ban list, Cultist is the one where like it has occasionally really fun games. Like it plays interestingly with Necromancer, for example, and stuff like that, or stuff that interact with ruins in a nice way, or a lurker and whatnot, where you get cool combos. But the number of games where it's just like
well,
a degenerate cultist money rush make it unjustifiable,
yeah,
I think. Also, I think I like being able to play with people of any rating level, match quicker and get a variety of games. And Cultist is a game I just like. I could not ever justify playing a Cultist Kingdom versus someone of a much lower rating because there's so little skill involved. You'd end up losing like massive numbers of points.
yeah.
Well, elzorro I think is not going for Shepherd, and so I think it's fair to get rid of the Pastor. Wait a second. Why is there a leprechaun in elzorro's hand? How'd that get there?
You didn't notice?
I did not notice that. I would have said a lot more about that.
Yeah, the turn when you were like that coven should have been a cultist and that vassal should have been a silver.
Oh, is
Then
that?
they hit instead of 5. Guess what they did with that 4?
Oh, no, they're like, oh, look, I have too many action cards I can't play. Let's double down on that. Yo, and Counto even pointed it out in the chat. Yeah, I'm just not observant. How do they plan on playing 7 action cards and then playing the Leprechaun at the end of that chain?
Obviously, it's going to be 6 ruined villages.
How do you even get a hand with 6 ruined villages?
You played a barge last turn for duration.
Yeah, I guess you just call all your transmogrifies.
Or play like a shepherd. I don't know. You're not going to trigger a leprechaun here.
Yeah, that Leprechaun is just junking yourself.
Maybe it's the biggest dream of all for a triumph turn with leprechaun.
Realistically, I'm pretty sure the thought process went like this. It's like, oh, I can play a Leprechaun and get a gold. In reality, Leprechaun for gold is just like never ever worth it. I've never once bought a Leprechaun with the intention of playing it for the gold. You play it to get the wish.
I've done it with encampment.
Interesting. I still can't say I like that.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't good, but I feel like it's at least like worth considering.
But you have a Leprechaun in your deck. I guess Leprechaun could be draw if you like get the Locust Hex and it trashes your Cultist, and then you draw a bunch of money. Maybe that's the play.
I mean, it can also be thinning if you get Locusts on a Ruins. You should lose
that's true. Enchantresses are going to get really friendly here soon, I would think, because they can turn your Ruins into cantrips.
Yeah, Munsters already was friendly.
12. What do you buy? You could score already. You could, I think, just take 2 more Cultists.
Cultist, yeah.
I think I'll just take the 2 more Cultists.
What's the Ruin split? I would imagine that Zorro has most of them.
Let's see. M plays a Cultist.
Wait, why is the Coven pile at 6?
That's a good question, man. I did not notice that either. Why has a... I don't know.
Yeah, I will applaud the players for trying to dream big on this board. But if there's a cultist in no village, you just play cultist money. As a rule of thumb, honestly, it's not a terrible rule of thumb to just say if cultist is on the board, just play cultist money. End of discussion. Obviously that's not that nuanced of a strategy, but it's better than what either of them are doing.
Honestly, it would probably win 85% of the time, at least in I-League games. I feel like it's probably true half the time, in a theoretical sense. There are no J. Neil's cultist stats. I just don't play with it.
And you've never not had it banned?
My guess is there's some non-zero number of games. I remember looking at my stats a little while back, and there were 4 total Mountebank games registered and 3 total Swindler games or something like that. And so my guess is probably a similar tiny number of cultist games.
elzorro can actually do some funny things with all these T-Mogs. You call them all in the same cultist, and then well,
Okay.
actually, that's how you trigger Leprechaun. Yeah, by calling 6 transmogrified. Um, I mean, lucky to find them all in hand, I guess. But the Zoro still only have the one cultist, so I don't even, I don't even know how this is gonna end. Like, someone should be scoring at some point because the piles are getting kind of low. I mean, with all these covens, the curses are gonna run before too long. Um, and then you just have like 3 T-Mogs.
Oh wow, we actually played 19 total cultist games. That's a lot. I guess I had that one banned for less total time than the others.
T-Mog pasture into.
I honestly forgot what stat we were looking up at this point, though. Oh well. I
What?
gained cultist 89%. I bought cultist 89% of the time.
T-Mog copper into undo.
I've seen that classic T-Mog copper undo in so many games. People forget that you have to gain a card.
T-Mog cultist into cultist. Let's go. Oh, was that like pro deck tracking right there? It might have been. I feel like it must have been. You wouldn't do that unless you were counting and knew that the cultist was the last card.
It's quite possible, yeah. So now that ruins are out, this could actually just be a gold. Yeah, the covens are gonna be important in this game because neither of them really rush the cultists. Like I think it says something that elzorro, I believe, lost the ruin split despite getting cultist first. If you were to just go straight for the cultist, I think you would win the ruin split pretty handily, and then they would have trouble playing enough covens to make that matter.
Yeah, so this is just gonna pile pretty soon. Ooh, they finally figured out cultist into cultist.
Yeah, elzorro did nonetheless also get their cultist before Monster got their first cultist.
Cultist into cultist again.
Going for the pile out.
Yes.
Fancy play here.
Can you double here?
There's 2 treasures in the trash. So they've got 7 in coins plus 6 more from covens. Yeah, they could double here if they wanted to.
Definitely do it, right?
I would think so. Just trash both of the ruins. Is there a win? What's the?
Well they can.
No, I'm not seeing the win. Oh, you're right. You're right. They trashed Ruin Market. Yeah, they could have won. You're right. If they just bought out the Transmog's curse and then like bought Triumph or something. Yeah, they decided to play the Ruin Market instead of trashing it. And Munster classically calls GG despite it not being in GG, at least from this position. If they were to undo and untrash the Ruin Market, it would be GG.
In fairness, after Zoro doubles here, it's still GG.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
There's no way Munster ever comes back from that.
Now, both of them felt like they opened with too many action cards, but like between the two of them, the Transmogs seemed like the better play.
Munster, honestly, the place you like made a mistake here is you bought an action card that wasn't cultist. I guess this works out as well because Munster still has to like.
Yeah, can you win here?
This was unnecessary. Doing the 2 T-Mogs was unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't think you need to lower the piles that much. If they missed the instant win with the ruin market, I think I would have just taken the two provinces.
Taking the duchy can't be right. You have
Uh,
to.
yeah, what I don't know. I mean, is there a right play there though?
Well, I mean, this like certainly loses.
Yeah, I don't think there was a winning play.
I mean, if Munster can buy province, then it's not immediately over.
Wait, how many points were they at?
They were at
-4, right?
they were at -4. That sounds right. Yeah, they were at -4. So
Yeah, so
pro-
I guess Province would have stopped elzorro from just trivially buying Curse.
yeah, and then if Zoro has like a terrible dud and like buys a
But
state,
this puts them in the same position, right? Duchy plus Triumph Estate also ends up being this. I mean, I think it was like the best play given the circumstances, actually.
well, now you have debt. Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah, I guess they can. Um, yeah, I guess it probably was the best play.
Important to play that ruined village first. But now you just take the L. I think they only needed to hit like 2 there, right? Because all they needed to do was buy a Triumph to stay in the game, and they failed to even hit 2.
I guess Munster is assuming that Zoro knows enough to just click on curse.
I would think Zoro is looking at the curse pile. I don't think they would have bought the 2 transmogrifies if they were not looking at the 3 pile.
So Zoro has to know to click end actions and then click curse.
I mean, they could click their actions as well and then click curse. That would also be fine.
Is there a possible hex that would screw this over? Certainly, like misery.
Please don't play the leprechaun. Please don't play the leprechaun.
But if you do play the leprechaun, please get misery. That would be the perfect punishment. Yeah. Getting plague would be like style points.
They played leprechaun in an other than being enchanted. They played leprechaun a total of once, and it cursed them. That leprechaun was like actively bad. Wait! Oh no! Oh no! Did they just throw the game?
Well, not necessarily throw, but I mean, yes, I guess it was a throw.
You surely transmogrify the cultist into a duchy, then you play the coven, get out the last curse, buy duchy, or even province, depending on what you buy or what you draw. I mean, what? No. Okay, this still wins. I don't know why they transmogrified the coven over the cultist, given that the coven gives out the curse for free. But
well, the coven might be enchanted.
it all turns out fine. Oh yeah, elzorro just threw that game. They passed up 2 instant wins on their turns. One was a little bit harder to see, to be fair. You can easily miss the like.
I mean, I didn't see it till it was pointed out.
The devil transmog curse play.
Seen it, but,
The second one though, they had to like successfully buy a single card with 2 piles empty and 1 pile at 1 though, was a little bit more blatant.
Okay, Zoro, there are some good lessons to get from that, but I don't think win some, lose some is the lesson that I would take from that. I mean, honestly, like, look at the piles is a real good lesson. I still have to teach myself that one, and I'm like at a much higher level than this. I still forget. I'm not in league matches, but like on ladder, I'll just like miss easy pilouts. And
Look what we've got here: salt the earth and baths. Go for it. Do it. Salt baths. Yeah, we did mention it extensively, Zoro. Yes. Yeah, so salt and bath is like kind of a combo where you just buy salt the earth, you trash province, and you get 3 points because you also didn't gain a card. I don't think you do monolithic salt baths here, but you surely don't build a whole lot. It's currently 3VP to 3VP because they both have 3 estates. And I think it's 3-2 Zoro now.
No, did Munster win the last one because Zoro missed the curse buy?
Yeah, I mean, you could build here with like, I mean, there's like good engine pieces with count for trashing, catacombs for draw, blessed village, and whatnot. Stockpile plus buy, and even with groundskeeper, if there weren't like salt and baths around, I would totally build here. But I think that just like a very simple money-ish strategy brushes down provinces like very quickly. I'm not exactly sure what I do here. I don't think I just go straight into salt baths doing nothing else. I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
usually isn't good.
what was that?
I said that usually isn't good
Yeah,
to
I
do.
would think something like just straight up treasure money or treasurer or treasure trove money. Get like a province and then start salting, or something
Well,
like count for duchy and then just like start salting on your non-count turns.
Trove doesn't work well with baths.
That's a fair point. Yeah, so maybe treasurer is the better of the two options.
Probably, yeah.
What was the reason for top decking instead of gaining there? You want your copper on top? Oh yeah, that's a fair point. That is a very relevant difference. Yeah, normally with count, it's better to gain a copper rather than top deck a copper between the two because you'd rather the copper be in your discard than on the top of your deck. But in this case, it passes up on 2 baths VP, which is, I think, enough to tilt it in favor of top decking.
Oh yeah, for sure. Top decks the estate. I mean, they figured it out, but they top decked the estate over the.
Yeah, so why would you top deck a state rather than trash a state?
Um.
Um,
Uh.
hmm.
I. I can't. Maybe they want to play with harvest.
I sure hope that's not the reason.
Harvest money, the new meta.
I mean, you need to keep the coppers around, I guess, for your counting house, and so that's the real reason you don't want to top deck a state. All right, so what do you buy as Zorro here? I I think you could seriously consider salting. I'm not totally sure. I'm really not exactly sure what the strategy here is. It's something fast and money-ish. I don't think I buy a Blessed Village in this kingdom. I don't think I'm trying to build.
Yeah, I would definitely be getting a lot of stockpiles, like pretty much regardless. I mean, stockpile is just a great card, but like it seems like it is like kind of helpful with the salt strategy. I don't know. I guess it's not great because you have to rebuy them, but you're not like rushing it.
I do remember actually having a game in the Friendly Mix tournament that had stockpile, salt, the earth, and baths, and I went for the salt baths rush. And it was actually perhaps the only time where I bought stockpile and thought in retrospect, like, actually silver might be better here.
Because you could never like rebuy
It's
it.
just you have to rebuy it a bunch, and you don't want to be buying cards all that often.
Yeah. And like silver helps you hit 4, which is all that you really need to
Right,
hit.
yeah, you didn't need to hit
Unless
big numbers or anything. No, it's definitely iDivision Wandering Winder. I'm not sure why you're contesting that. They're correct on that one. Yeah, it does take some in-depth analysis to figure out what division this truly is. Could be J, could be A, really could be anywhere in between. But if you give it some thorough thought, I think you'll come to the same conclusion that it is in fact iDivision. Don't be ridiculous, JC Thras. Clearly, they're talking about the question of which division this was.
Okay, so nobody's like rushing. So in that case, building with groundskeeper look reasonable.
I mean, like, if you're building an engine, there's a good engine to be had here, but the 3-pile really scares... Or not the 3-pile, the province is emptying from salt to the earth is what I mean. Really scares me.
Since nobody's doing it, I mean, like I don't know. I wouldn't think we should keep saying turn after turn, don't buy groundskeeper because of the salt rush. But like,
Yeah. It's tough, because, like, there
I mean,
comes a point in a lot of these games, like, you see the best strategy, and then you're like, all right, they passed up on the they do from this position. even in this position, though, I still think the best move is probably to pivot towards money. Like, I don't think we've crossed the threshold yet where you're like, all right, it's too late to go for like a simple salt rush. Like, if I were given Munster's deck right now, I think I might just buy like Treasure Trove and play money, something like that.
Well, I mean, again, like that's gonna make Treasure Trove is gonna make getting Bath's points so hard.
Yeah. But at this point, you've got a thin deck, and Treasure Trove with Treasurer will, I think, pretty quickly just be buying provinces, and I think I'd be happy with that.
You don't even have to worry about Baths. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
When you trash a stockpile and gain it from the trash, you actually discard it so you can get them back from exile.
You can theoretically
Yes.
get infinite stockpiles. Not infinite, but like you can play stockpile infinite times here.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think
Treasure
this
is the
board,
rare card that lets you do that.
yeah, I've seen boards where that's like a good idea. I don't think this is one of them.
Yeah.
But like in theory, it's a thing that is possible.
Because realistically, I think you need two treasurers to make that viable. One to trash it and one to take it back. You don't want to leave it between turns, or your opponent would just take it from you.
Yeah, or you use another trasher. Like preferably, like use a trash for benefit.
Oh yeah, trade route your stockpile to treasurer it back.
That's not trash for benefit. I mean, you would want to use something like Apprentice or whatever.
We're making do with what we have in this kingdom.
Well, yeah. I mean, what we have in this kingdom is not a kingdom where you want to be gaining stockpile back from the trash. I'm just talking about hypothetically.
I could see trade route actually seeing play. Oh, as I said, that one's already been bought. But because you were going to empty a bunch of like random estates and duchies with groundskeeper, I guess at this point.
Yeah, trade route's probably not terrible. I don't know. I'd probably just rather have another stockpile. Because like, if you don't really want. I guess trade route might be useful with Treasure Trove to help control the coppers.
I mean, I think the scenario where trade route ought to get bought would be like after stockpiles presumably are empty, we're already into the groundskeeper game, and duchy and estate have at least one taken. You could easily add trade route because the plus buy is going to be valuable once stockpiles are empty. I agree with stockpiles around. I don't particularly want trade route. I don't think. Well, then maybe even so. Like Count is going to struggle to trash at this point, and so maybe you do need trade route to like clean up your deck. I don't think it's terrible. Which is rare because trade route's usually.
You're not really going to be clearing out estates that you get with groundskeeper. You're not going to be using Count to clear those out. And
yeah.
So I guess maybe you would clear them out with a trade route because you like obviously don't want them around. It's such a thin deck.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can clean out the coppers if you have any left with your treasure pretty easily, but you'll need the trade route for the green cards.
So Zoro starts on province gain. Oh, interesting. What is this like?
This seems like it feels like an awkward mix between engine and money. Like they kind of went for the groundskeepers and then they went straight for the points without really building a deck that can play a lot of groundskeepers each turn. I think if I wanted the groundskeepers, I would want a bunch of groundskeepers.
Yeah, I mean it's an engine where people green too early.
Yeah, Nerdbound has correctly pointed out they don't actually have any draw cards. So I'm not even sure it really meets the definition of an engine. It's like groundskeeper money.
It's a very sad engine.
Yeah. The little engine that couldn't.
Yeah.
You could salt here because you've gained no cards. If you were to salt, you would not have wanted to play that stockpile, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not liking the composition we've ended up getting here. Groundskeeper works well when you play a bunch of them every turn, and then you buy a bunch of green cards, and you want to build big.
Trade route looks pretty good now.
Yeah. I think I would just trash that duchy, to be honest.
Really?
I mean, you're going to trash it eventually, right? I would think.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, despite the fact that we have Salt the Earth and whatnot, the game's not particularly close to over, because they're not really lowering provinces much at all. And so, at this point, I think I'm kind of playing for the long-ish game.
Well, we're going to see Stockpile and Groundskeeper run out. And what else?
Duchy, I would think
Maybe
probably.
Dutchy. I would feel like estates are more likely to run out because at some point you realize that buying duchies just to trash them is like, well, why aren't you just buying estates? And buying duchies to keep them is going to make your deck terrible since neither of them have any draw.
You can
So
gain the duchies off of count though. I think is probably how they'll go.
they can do the count, but only one of them has a count. That's Munster has the count, right?
Yes. I think I actually might want another trade route here. Like, what about trade route double estate?
Seems reasonable.
Groundskeeper estate is fine.
Do you salt here, Zoro?
Yeah, I think so.
Zoro has like much more of a money deck.
And now here's the question: do you salt provinces or duchies? Because I could see a world where salting duchies actually makes it easier to three pile than provinces.
Um, I was thinking province, but the argument for duchy is that you're denying them to the count, so that's actually pretty
Yeah.
reasonable.
I think I still lean towards salting province. Which of these do you play as Munster? Treasurer seems fine. Top deck the trade route and take a duchy and buy an estate, I think.
I mean,
Oh, they
Munster's
don't.
just gonna completely fall apart without any draw. Like, I don't know that you really want to be adding more green.
Okay, I'm very confused what they're doing here.
Salting?
Why would you salt with 3 groundskeepers in play?
Good point. Done. No, I got nothing.
You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
why would you buy duchy?
Oh no, that was a big mistake. Why would you spend the coins to buy the duchy when you could gain the duchy directly, then buy another card?
I mean, I guess maybe there's nothing they wanted to buy, but like certainly a stockpile at least would have helped.
Or an estate for points? Yeah, both of
Yeah,
those seemed
the
clearly better.
estate you can at least argue against the estate because you really don't want to junk yourself with no draw at all in your deck.
Yes,
But
and then a second.
stockpile
Oh, go ahead.
even.
I think a secondary error there was not top decking the trade route. Like trade route's, I think, a good card at this point. I'd rather have it on the top of my deck.
Zoro should salt duchy here, right?
Salt duchy. Well, if they started on the provinces before, I think presumably you'd want to continue salting provinces now.
Well, yeah, but I feel like salting duchy there was also right. Also, Munster is continuing to lower the duchies. But Munster isn't behind that much, I guess. The groundskeepers are starting to add up.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose game this is. As Zoro, I think I would just want to continue on the Salt Province
This is
route and then try to put like a 5 turn cap on the game. You'll score a decent number of points from that. 5 points plus like probably all 6 bath points. Or was it 4 bath points? I'm not even sure. All four, say like 9 total points. I'm not sure.
yeah.
I think I lean
Yeah.
towards Munster's position right now. Like,
Or do you just buy duchy?
yes, I think
Well, yeah.
Duchy's 5, whereas Salt for Duchy or Salt for Prov. Oh, actually, I don't know. Salt for. I think elzorro is looking kind of lost. The more I'm seeing this, the more lost this looks.
I mean, if I don't know if Zoro, like, look at how low the piles are. Um, I guess Munster's just gonna be like spam buying estates.
Like Zoro's deck just does not have the ability to empty a bunch of piles all at once.
Do you just salt the last duchy here?
I would salt something. I'm not sure between the 3 of them which. Probably Duchy. I think Duchy, yeah.
Well, yeah, because Munster's probably gonna get it if you don't.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Well, I guess not, but whoa, really?
I would think I would have trashed the estate so that I could buy 2 estates.
Estates, yeah. This is
I really, really dislike that. You were lowering piles to a scary degree there.
um. Do you just buy groundskeeper
I think I
here?
would salt for the last or for 3 more points,
Yeah, that's a good point.
or you could gain copper.
But
Why do they want a copper?
I guess maybe they didn't want to do nothing.
My guess is they forgot they had the coin from Key, and they wanted to buy groundskeeper, and so they thought they needed the copper to afford. Wait, oh no, this is just that doesn't make any. Gaining the copper cost them. They took a copper to not get bath points.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
fishy with that.
that was a big blunder. Watch that end up being the amount of points that costs them this game. I think just triple estate here.
Yeah, surely.
That's
A lot
12
of points.
points. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, that's plenty. Yeah,
Yeah,
Zoro's
so
in trouble now. I do feel like Zoro was ahead for a while.
Zoro, I think, just needed a clear strategy for how to end the game quickly. Like, just commit to solving provinces or something like that, and they might have had a good chance. Their deck wasn't as built to continue playing for the Groundskeeper thing long term compared to Munster's.
Yeah, yeah, Salt Province seems reasonable. You're still probably losing. I mean, it looks like Munster practically has the win in hand.
Yep. They get the last Bath points anyway.
With key, they actually did have the win in hand. Yeah, I mean, it's just one now.
Yep. Can they find it? I think they'll find it. They found it.
Yay.
All right. So we did have that stinky play at the end there from elzorro where they failed to take a bath, but I think it would have been game regardless because this was not decided by those 2 points. All right. So it ends up being, was it 4-2 Munster? I was thinking it was. Oh yeah, it was 4-2 Munster because that last game elzorro had it and then threw it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good matches. Thanks for co-commentating.
Yeah.
See everyone around.